What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Talkin Sports with Jake. Hope we're all doing well. So let's start with a wild card race update in Major League Baseball. We are winding down. Today is the 23rd of September. We are winding down to the final week and a half or so of the season. Most teams only have 6 or 7 games left. Let's go to the American League. Yankees have built a 6-6 game lead over the Orioles in the American League East. I think that means unless they lose out and the Orioles win out, they will win the division. They have already clinched the playoff spot. You have the Guardians clinched the American League Central a day or two ago. Houston leads Seattle by 5 games in the American League West. I think they only have 6 games left, so their magic number is 1 to clinch the American League West. They should be closing on that in the next game or two. Philadelphia Phillies clinched the playoffs. Mets take 3 out of 4 from them, so big win for the Mets. We'll get to that in a minute. But they have already clinched the playoffs. Mets are 5 back of them, so that's actually not over. That being said, 6 games left for the Philadelphia Phillies as well as New York Mets. The Phillies will have to basically lose 5 of 6. The Mets will have to win at least 5 of 6 in order for that the Mets to steal away the division. Milwaukee clinched the division a couple days ago. They win the National League Central, and the Dodgers, who have already clinched the playoffs, are actually only 3 games ahead of the San Diego Padres, who are playing phenomenal baseball right now. Obviously, don't have a lot of games left. I think they only have 6 games left, but San Diego's 3 back. That's not that daunting for the Padres. To the wild card race specifically, Orioles are on the first wild card, 4 games up on Detroit and Kansas City. Yes, the Detroit Tigers have moved into a tie, but a second wild card spot for the Kansas City Royals. The Royals have been falling apart. They have lost 7 games in a row. They are collapsing before our eyes, and are tied right now with Detroit for the 2nd and 3rd spot. American League, the Minnesota Twins, who have been struggling for a while, are now a game back. Seattle Mariners are 2 games out. They've been playing better this last few weeks. They got to a really good start. Then they really struggled for a few months, made a manager change, which didn't even work at first. But these last 3-4 weeks has started to turn the ship around a little bit. Are only 2 back above a spot. Boston Red Sox are now 4 back. Even the Rays are 4 back. So the Rays have actually been playing well. And they blew their entire team up at the trade deadline. And they're at 500 right now. They are also 4 games out of the spot. Everyone else is eliminated. Toronto was eliminated. Texas was eliminated. So obviously their World Series defense did not go as planned. And as for home field advantage, right now the Yankees are, I think, 2.5 up on Cleveland for home field advantage throughout the entire American League. But Houston is 4.5 back of Cleveland for a bye. So if the season were to end today, Yankees and Cleveland have byes. That's most likely what it's going to be. Houston would host Kansas City, and Baltimore would host Detroit. But those last 2 spots in the American League are very much still up for grabs. In the National League, first wild card right now is San Diego. The 3 games up on Arizona and the Mets. Mets who have had, they have, I think, the best record in baseball, I think, since like May 30th and since June 30th as well. Ever since I think Lindor actually called that players only meeting. They've been on a roll. They have the best record in September as well. I think they're 14-5 or 15-5 in September. That's the best mark in the major leagues. They're tied for the 2nd wild card and 3rd wild card right now with Arizona. 3 games back of San Diego. Atlanta is 2 games up. Both Mets and Atlanta are off today. On Tuesday, they start a 3-game series. If the Mets take 2 out of 3, they will clinch the playoffs, because that will put them 3 games up on Atlanta with 3 games to go, and then they would clinch the tiebreaker. If they sweep the Braves, they would knock the Braves out completely. If they take 2 out of 3, the Mets will clinch a spot. Does not necessarily mean Atlanta would be eliminated. That depends on what happens with the Arizona Diamondbacks. If the Braves take 2 out of 3, then the Mets would have a 1-game lead heading into that 3-game series against the Milwaukee Brewers. So that depends on each team's final 3-game sets. If Atlanta sweeps the Mets, then they would be a game ahead of the Mets. So that is obviously the biggest series of the year, possibly in all baseball. Very excited for that as a Mets fan. So looking forward to that. But yeah, Atlanta is 2 games out, and everyone else is out. The Cubs were just eliminated the other day. That's a disappointing finish for them. Comes to the buys, Dodgers right now are leading to Philadelphia by a game for home field advantage throughout the entire playoff. They're also a game ahead of the Yankees, or actually a half game ahead of the Yankees for that mark as well. If it was a game back, and Milwaukee is now 3 games behind Philadelphia for a bye in the National League, and they are 4 games behind the Dodgers for home field advantage throughout the entire postseason. So, season we're in today, Milwaukee would host the Mets, and San Diego would host Arizona, and the Dodgers and Philadelphia would have byes. That's where we are in the wild card race, as it is getting hot in the final week and a half here as we finish up the regular season. Adrian Wojnarowski last week announced his retirement from journalism. Of course, he is his Woj bombs have been famous. As being the top NBA insider for many years. He retired from that. He joined St. Bonaventures, the college, as their GM of their basketball program. People wondering why the heck does a college basketball team have a GM? With NIL now, a lot of college basketball programs are employing an actual general manager like a professional sports team would. Because it's basically a free agency in college sports now with the NIL, with the new rules for the transfer portal. Obviously, that the amateurism thing of college sports is completely gone. So a lot of them need them. So Adrian Wojnarowski is now going to be the GM of the St. Bonaventure program. Obviously, very shocking. Adam Schefter, who obviously is the same role as Woj, but for the NFL, has for a very long time. He kind of explained it very well last week. He said he wanted his life back. He's like, these guys, Shams, Woj, Schefter, all these guys, they have to be on their phone pretty much all day. Any sort of news drops, they gotta make sure they're one of the first ones to get that information out as a journalist. He said Woj just wanted to not have to have his phone, flush up against the shower so we can see a text come through. That's what they have to do, these guys. And it takes a toll. I mean, the guy's probably in his 50s, been doing it for over 20 years, maybe even 30, and I'm sure he had to miss family gatherings or had to be distracted during them because he always had to be on his phone, answering text messages, trying to get the big story, sending out a social media message, and I think he was just tired of it. And so kudos to him, and a salute to a legend of basketball journalism. All right, so a couple of free agency moves. First in the NHL, the Detroit Red Wings extend Moritz Seider, their star young defenseman, on a 7-year extension worth $59.8 million. That's $8.5 million a year. Moritz Seider has quickly developed into one of the best defensemen in all of hockey. He's had at least 42 points in every season. Last year, 9 goals, 33 assists, 42 points. Had 5 goals, 37 assists, and 42 points the year prior. And his rookie year in 21-22, had 7 goals, 43 assists, 50 points. Yeah, he's still very, very young. Only going to be his 4th season in the league. He's still only 23 years old. One of the best young defensemen in the National Hockey League. And Red Wings, they have a really good young core they've been building for a while. Each of the last 2 years, I thought they could sneak into the playoffs, especially last year. It didn't quite happen last year. Antwerp preseason just started. So I'm going to do my Antwerp preview sooner rather than later. Some more details on that in the coming days, but I'm planning on doing that sooner rather than later because the NHL regular season starts in a couple of weeks. So probably within the next week and a half for sure. Possibly even this week. I'll figure that all out. And on the basketball side, the Philadelphia 76ers extend Joel Embiid, All-Star center, 3 years, $193 million. He had 2 years left on his original contract, so he's now under contract in Philly for 5 years for a total of $301 million. I kind of understand this one. That's $64 million a year, even more than that. He's overrated, the guy. I don't see it with him. I don't think he's a top 3, top 5 guy. In the regular season, yes, he's an amazing player. He'll average 30 points and 10 rebounds every regular season. But every year, he's hurt every year. He's hurt every year in the playoffs. He comes up short every year in the playoffs. Yes, at first, all right, Ben Simmons the 1 year had that really historically bad postseason, really historically bad series. Then they brought in James Harden, and Harden was never performed well in the playoffs. He didn't play well. What's the excuse at this point? I get it, they were the 7 seed this year playing the New York Knicks, and the Knicks were a better basketball team. People, the Knicks should have won that series. That's, Knicks in 6 was probably what was going to happen. But at the same time, they were only a playing team because Embiid was hurt most of the season. Like, if he had stayed healthy, they would have been at 3 seed, would have had a better matchup, would have easily been in the second round of the playoffs. Who knows? If they got the Knicks in the second round, they probably would have won that series, considering how injured the Knicks were in that second round series. And the Indiana Pacers is one of the main reasons that they lost that series. So, the guy who's always hurt, he gets tired easily. To me, he's overrated. I don't think he's a top 10 player in the league. Is he a top 15 player in the league? Yeah, but not saying the guy is a bench warmer, but. He's treated as if he's on the same level as Nikola Jokic, a top 3-5 player in the league. He just is not. He just isn't, okay? He's not. Should have never won the MVP 2 years ago. It should have been Jokic. I don't get it. But so we decide to extend him. All right, so let's recap some football. Let's start with college football with week 4 in college football. Number 24, Illinois beat number 22, Nebraska in the game on Friday night, 31-24 in overtime. Illinois tied that game late in the fourth quarter and then won it in overtime. Dylan Raiola was also 297 and 3 scores. He does have a good start this year. Obviously, he looks just like Patrick Mahomes. He does the Mahomes ritual and everything. It's a little creepy, like I said before, but he's playing well. Illinois is 4 now. That's the first loss of the year for Nebraska. Saturday, number 1 Texas beats UL Monroe 51-3. Arch Manning got the start, 15-29 for 258, 2 scores, 2 picks. That actually worked out very perfectly for Texas. You beat the piss out of a bad team like you should have. Arch got to start a full game, and he played well, but so to the point you're like, should we still him over Quinn Ewers? So I'm sure when Quinn comes back from the injury, he'll be a starter, but Texas continues to roll. Number 3 Ohio State beats Marshall 49-14. I thought that'd be a little more lopsided, honestly. I'm not going to lie. Number 5 Ole Miss beats Georgia Southern 52-13. They're also a good start with your Jackson Dart, throws for over 300 yards, almost 404 scores. You had Tennessee, number 6 Tennessee beats number 15 Oklahoma 25-15. Tennessee looks really good. Heading into the game, they were averaging 63 points a game, and their defense is really good. And obviously, they didn't play a lot of good teams, but they played a good team in Oklahoma, and they were at one point, I think it was 22-3 at one point in the third quarter. So they looked really, really good. You had number 7 Missouri beats Vanderbilt 30-27 overtime. Vanderbilt had a field goal tie. Not even from that far. It was 35, 36 yards in overtime, and they shanked it. Vanderbilt's going to do Vanderbilt things. And so Missouri escapes with a win over Vanderbilt. Number 8 Miami beats South Florida 50-15. They look really good. That guy Cam Ward, he's looking very good. Obviously, still early. Hasn't played anyone that daunting, but he looks very good. For 404 and 3 scores, because that kid's got a huge arm, if nothing else. You have number 10 Penn State blanks Kent State 56-0. You had number 18 Michigan beats number 11 USC 27-24, a really good game. They only threw for 32 yards. They ran the ball down USC's throat. By the way, the reason I picked this game, I picked Michigan to win this game. I do not trust Lincoln Riley. That guy is so overrated. He's a good offensive mind, and he's a fine college coach, very good offensive mind, but that guy, he can't win a big game to save his life. That man, oh my God. Happens every single year. Everyone's always so high in USC, and every year they come up short. They find a way. Look, Michigan's not a slouch. They won the freaking national championship last year. But this isn't the same team. J.J. McCarthy's not there anymore. Blake Crowell's not there anymore. Jim Harbaugh, the coach, isn't there anymore. They lost a lot of guys. That's why they came in, barely even in the top 20. And Michigan pulls that one out. Number 12, Utah beats number 14, Oklahoma State, 22-19. You had BYU with a big upset over number 13, Kansas State, 38-0. Wow. BYU was 4-0. They look very good. You had number 16, LSU beat UCLA, 34-17. Number 17, Notre Dame beats Miami, Ohio, 28-3. Number 19, Louisville beats Georgia Tech, 31-19. Number 20, Iowa State beats Arkansas State, 52-7. You had number 21, Clemson beats NC State, 59-35. Dropped 59 on them. Kate Coleman actually played a lot better than they did last year. Number 23, Northern Illinois loses to Buffalo 23-20 in overtime. So big upset for Buffalo. So Northern Illinois' little run ends there. And number 25, Texas A&M slips past Bowling Green 26-20, but close to Bowling Green for putting up a fight in that game. All right, let's talk about the AP rankings that came out yesterday, heading into week 5 for college football, and then we will recap the NFL action, and then we will close things out, and I'll make an announcement or two before we head out today. Texas remains number 1 at 4-0. Then we have a bunch of 3-0. Some 3-0, some 4-0, depending on how many games they played. Yeah, college football's kind of very odd like that. Georgia's number 2, still Ohio State 3, Alabama 4. Texas moves up to 5. Ole Miss slips down to 6. And Tennessee moved ahead of Ole Miss. Both teams look very good. You have Miami at 7. Oregon slips up to 8. Penn State is now 9th. Utah up to 10th. Yeah, Missouri, they moved down to 11 as they almost lost to Vanderbilt. Michigan shoots up to number 12 in the country. Remember, we got a 12-team country football playoff, so top 12 is very important this year. 13th is USC. They slipped down after a loss to Michigan. 14th is LSU. 15th is Louisville. They shoot up a little bit. Notre Dame is now at 16th. Clemson at 17th. They move up. Iowa State is 18th. Illinois shoots up to 19th in the country. 20th is OKC as they plummet. Oklahoma plummets to 21st because those teams lost. BYU remains. They jump into the rankings now. Almost remains. They jump into the rankings at 22nd. So kudos to them. Kansas State plummets to 23rd after a demoralizing loss to BYU. A&M up to 24, and Boise State into the rankings. By the way, they have blue turf. I turned on their game against Portland State, which they won 56-14 briefly. That viewing experience is just horrible. It's just awful. Very, very, very bad. Boise State, but they are 25th in the country, so kudos to them. All right, so I'm going to do NFL, and we're actually going to talk some wrestling after the NFL, and then I'll make an announcement too, and we'll close out. So, obviously, y'all watch Thursday Night Football. Jets beat the Patriots 24-3. The Jets' first home win over the Patriots in 9 years. Crazy to think about. Aaron Rodgers looked great. The running game looked great. Obviously, they got a lot of pressure on the quarterback. I got a lot of Patriots fans complaining. You got to put Drake May back there. I'm telling you right now, if they put Drake May back there, that's a crime. He will get killed behind that line. That Patriots line is just dreadful. The Jets were blitzing a lot. They have a very good front seven, even with Hassan Reddick and La Land and Jermaine Johnson injured. And they're a little bit not as deep as they were last year and the year before. That's still a very good front seven, but holy hell. They give up 7 sacks. Drake May played 1 series. He was sacked twice. He was under pressure probably 4 or 5 other times. Don't put him back there. Don't do it. Not yet. Yeah, maybe down the stretch when you're 3-10, you want to give him a cup of coffee for a couple of games, see what you got, fine. But not right now, it's just not the time. Jerome Mayo said Brissett will start week 4, but at some point May will play, and that should be the plan. So then we got Giants beat the Browns 21-15, so Jones played a little better. That Giants front seven just absolutely ate the Browns up. 8 sacks on Deshaun Watson. By the way, can we just get rid of Deshaun Watson? Can he go? Just go. He sucks. He's a horrible person, a horrible player. Get him out of the NFL. They will have to step up at some point. Also, Toon's $30 million contract. Holy yikes. Colts over the Bears 21-16. So both quarterbacks struggle on this one. Anthony Richardson, obviously, he's only played, 6-7 games in the NFL. So he struggled. Caleb Williams struggled again. I told you, that guy's in for a rude awakening when he enters the league. Also, that Bears offensive line has got to get together. Holy hell, they are bad. He was sacked 4 more times this week, Caleb Williams. Vikings obliterate the Texans 34-7. Big win for them. They make a statement win there. Sam Darnold looks great. They looked a lot better than expected, especially considering all the injuries and stuff they had going on in the offseason. So Texans take a tough loss. That is just a demoralizing loss for the Texans. Vikings, they look really good. You have the Eagles over the Saints 15-12. Okay, Nick Sirianni, that dude, he needs to not coach NFL anymore. He's going to be doing something else next year besides not being an NFL coach. Because, God, that much talent, and you go out with this? You sweep past the Packers in Brazil. Then you blow that game against Atlanta in primetime, and then you barely squeak past the Saints. That's bad. The Saints, I told you, I'm not buying it yet. Fraud, 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 fraud. Saints are frauds. Steelers over the Chargers 20-10. That Steelers defense might be the best unit in the league. They are absolutely phenomenal. Justin Fields, look, he's doing enough to win the games. He's 3-0. Look at that. Chargers have a lot of injuries. They lose Justin Herbert to an ankle injury. He had a high ankle sprain in the last game. He was able to play through it in Worlds, but he re-aggravated it. Lose both your star tackles, Joel and Rachel Slater, and your top pass rusher and Joey Bosa. So, Chargers, again, the injuries are biting them in the ass. Hopefully they get that cleaned up for their sake. Broncos over the Bucks 26-7, so first win for Bo Nix, who played pretty well. Bucks obviously suffered their first loss of the season. You know, they don't seem to be as frail as we thought from the first 2 weeks. Packers over the Titans 30-14. Again, Malik Willis, he did what he needed to do, and that's a good game plan shoot by Matt LaFleur's last 2 weeks. Keep his pass attempts down, run the damn ball, and play good defense. And that's exactly what they've done. Also, Will Levis. The Titans might want to think about benching the guy soon if he hasn't turned it around. Every week, just bad turnover after bad turnover. He keeps doing it week in and week out. Brian Callen looked really just sad at the presser. I don't blame him. That they're 0-3, and it's a shame because the team around him is actually pretty good. Now, in the offseason, you had Tony Pollard and Calvin Ridley and all these other guys. I know that off the line still isn't that great. I mean, Bill Callahan helps. You draft Tracy Latham, but still very young, still needs some work. But Titans might be in for a long year if Will Levis is the starter. I think their backup might be Mason Rudolph. He might see some time for sooner rather than later, honestly. The Carolina Panthers have won a game. They beat the Raiders 36-22. The first time they led in a game since I think week 17 of last year, and I think they beat the Saints 9-6 or something, or 9-3. They hadn't had a lead in the fourth quarter, I think, in 2 years. It's crazy. Amy Dalton looked phenomenal. Over 300 yards and 3 touchdowns, the only quarterback to do that this year. I'm just saying the same crappy-ass team that Bryce had looked a hell of a lot better with a washed Amy Dalton. Just saying. And a ton of people were not happy after the game. I don't blame them. The Dolphins lose miserably to the Seattle Seahawks. Seahawks win 24-3. Miami has got to call somebody. Skylar Thompson is horrible. Now he might be hurt. He took a really big hit. So he's got a chest injury. Didn't return. Tim Boyle is just awful. He played for the Jets a couple of games last year. It's a big mystery how that guy lasted this long in the NFL. It's literally because he's friends with Aaron Rodgers. I'm convinced. The guy was horrible at UConn. Pretty sure he went to UConn or something like that. Somewhere really bad. But for football, he was terrible in college. Somehow gets in the NFL as like a second, third string in Green Bay. Became friends with Aaron Rodgers, and he played a couple of games for Detroit. And he's bounced around. He was with the Jets briefly last year. Played a couple of games, was atrocious. Now he's in Miami as the backup. I know last year their backup was Mike White. They didn't re-sign him, so I think they brought him in for some depth. And they have there's somebody else there I think as well. They brought in Tyler Huntley I think last week off the Ravens practice squad, but he didn't dress for last week's game. And they may have somebody else on their roster, but right now Tim Boyle is the backup, and he would be the starter if Skylar Thompson's out. You cannot. His team is too good and too talented to be ruined because all he needs is a competent quarterback. Like Tua, obviously, I hope he takes care of his head injuries and takes care of his health and puts that first. But you cannot. You simply just can't. Roll out Skylar Thompson and/or Tim Boyle the rest of the year. Skylar Thompson is maybe a serviceable third string. The guy is not a capable quarterback. Tim Boyle is not a capable quarterback in this league. You don't need much. All you need is like a Gardner Minshew or, obviously into 2 was more than good enough. All you need is a Gardner Minshew or a guy like that. Carson Wentz or Jimmy Garoppolo might even be able to succeed in that offense and take his team to the playoffs. Sam Darnold would be perfect. A guy like that. So they got to get somebody. Whether that's bringing back an old friend in Ryan Tannehill, signing him off the street, whether that's making a move for somebody, but they have to do something. Tuesday, at least 4 weeks. I don't have their upcoming schedule in front of me. But you're in the same division as the Buffalo Bills, who are a good team. They look good so far. You're in the same division as the New York Jets. If everything goes right, they are a good team. They've played well the last 2 weeks. They're 2-1 now. It's a competitive division, a competitive conference. This team is too good and too talented to just, give up on the season. Right now they're 1-2, so they're not, in a 1-2, 0-3 difference is very large. People don't really realize that. But they have to get somebody else in there because they cannot roll out Skylar Thompson and Tim Boyle the rest of the year. They will win 6 games, and people are going to get fired. It's going to be bad. Very, 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 very bad. Again, you just paid Tua. That's holdings in limbo, but you have to do something. The Lions beat the Cardinals 20-13. That Lions defense looks massively improved from last year. That they obviously improved their pass defense. I think Terry Norman got hurt in the game. Hopefully he's okay. Hopefully should be fine. But they ran the ball very, very well. Jared Goff looked better. I'm telling you that they got to run the ball. The first 2 games, Goff didn't play so well. He's thrown the ball 40-50 times, but that shouldn't be happening. You have a really good running back duo with Jameer Gibbs and David Montgomery. Pound the rock with those guys. You got a phenomenal offensive line, and obviously sets up the path for Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jameson Williams, Tim Porter, who has a sprained ankle. Not sure when he's coming back. Hopefully he's not too long for the Lions' sake. But the Lions take a win over Arizona 20-13. Kyrie didn't look great. He's so overrated, Kyrie. He's not bad. He's a decent starter, but nothing more. He's overrated. Ravens beat the Cowboys 28-25. Dallas almost came back. They got 19 unanswered. They're going down 28-6. Dak didn't play great. Again, $60 million a year. Why? In Baltimore, they've been blowing leads the last couple of years. They've had some issues with that. They blew a 10-point lead in the fourth quarter against the Raiders in week 2, and you almost blew a 22-point lead against Dallas. So Baltimore's got to get things together because they could have been 0-3. There was a possibility. So they got to get their things together. It's like Derrick Henry had a big game. Been going viral. His diet that the guy's on, wow. All he eats is like an avocado before the game. He doesn't eat to 4 or 5 o'clock. No wonder he keeps himself in that kind of shape at 30 years old. And he's still an elite back, even at an age where most backs are already on the decline. So kudos to him. Ravens pick up a win. You had the Rams come back and beat the 49ers 27-24. They're down a couple scores in the second half. They come back. The guy Xavier Smith, undrafted guy, I think, or some round guy, had never had a touch in the NFL, and he returns a punt, almost 40 yards, late in the fourth quarter, set up the game-winning field goal for the Rams. Kudos to them. Obviously, you need guys to step up. Big game from Kyrie Williams, Puka Nacua, or Cooper Kupp, your top 2 receivers. Kyle Shanahan, that guy with a 10-point lead is the most just unreliable human I've ever seen. At some point, we're going to have to come down on him for just blowing 10-point lead or 10-point lead. He started early this year. Usually happens in the playoffs, and usually he waits till the NFC Championship or Super Bowl. He started in week freaking 3 this year. And Sunday Night Football, Chiefs over the Falcons 22-17. Not Mahomes' best game, but other guys were able to step up. And Kelsey, who hasn't looked great this year. That's an interesting one. Honestly, his body's taking a lot of punishment. And he says he wants to play another 2 years. Look, the guy's already proven he was one of the 2-3 greatest tight ends of all time. He's been dominant for a long time. He's won 3 Super Bowls. He has, he's got his podcast with his brother, Jason. Well, obviously, Jason Kelsey obviously just retired. He's dating Gabriel Swift, obviously, that's very apparent. Part of me is like, I think he's not all in, but in the past, if we were to have 3 straight games where he didn't contribute, as long as, that's the team's 3 now, which obviously helped. If the team was 1-2, I'm sure he'd be a lot more upset. But in the past, he'd be a little more upset. He did say after week 2 game, he's got to be better. He shot him on the sideline in week 3. He looked, just overall just depressed, sad, just disappointed. Obviously in himself. Part of me's like maybe it's just like when you go through these stretches, maybe it's not as big of a deal anymore. It's because he sort of cares more about, Taylor Swift's next album or what they're going to talk about on his next podcast. Is, having, the stack of cash and all the popularity he's gotten from dating Taylor Swift and doing his podcast and the Super Bowl rings might help. I don't know. So, something I picked up on But Chiefs slipped past the Falcons. It was a solid back and forth game. Obviously, Falcons have a chance at the end there. Obviously, by the way, I know they went for it with like 4 minutes left. They went for it, I think, on 4th and 5 or 6 down in the red zone. Didn't get it. I didn't really have a problem with the call, with the decision, because I thought that one of two things were happen. They could have went for it. They could have, if they scored a touchdown on that play, Mahomes is going down and scoring a touchdown. He's going to have 4 minutes. You're going to lose. If you get a first down and score a touchdown a little bit later in the game, you might win. Mahomes still might go down the field and rip your heart out. If you don't get it, Mahomes will either have a nice drive, nice to the game, or maybe you get a stop and maybe give yourself a chance to go down and score a touchdown, which will be easier said than done. If Chiefs have a good defense, but it's possible. So, either way, your yards weren't great. You might as well try for the best case scenario, get a first down, give a touchdown, preferably maybe inside 2 minutes, and just hope that Mahomes doesn't rip your heart out. That was the best bet. And then, so you get a big stop, you get the ball back. I know everyone wanted passing interference on that second to last play. At first, I didn't think it was. Looking back, it may have been. The Chiefs were also called for 3 penalties on that drive as well. I thought one or two of them were iffy, but the officiating wasn't great last night at all. They had a rough in the pass call on Chris Jones that didn't think great with. The Chiefs took 3 penalties on that drive. At least 1 or 2 I didn't love. Passing interference, they didn't call. I didn't love. But 4th and inches. Now we got under a minute left. You do a running back counter behind the line of scrimmage with Bijan. That's the call. That was just absolutely terrible. Better than that, I get, all right, maybe you want to do a sneak of Kirk Cousins coming up toward the kid, but still, Kirk's he's not that big of a quarterback. He's 6'2", 6'3". He can't get half a yard on a sneak. Come on. And I get, obviously, because you got to get everyone out of the pile. You're running low on time. Maybe you don't want to use a timeout quite yet. You never know with Mahomes. If you give him 30 seconds to go, 30 seconds to get 3 with Mahomes, that's not out of the question. So I thought there was a better option. You could have done maybe a little out route or a slant to London or something, or a sneak. Or maybe you had Bijan just plug it up the middle, or maybe Algier up the middle. But I just I thought it was a weak play call on the 4th and inches. But Chiefs pick up the win. They are 3-0. Got Monday Night Football going on tonight. Obviously, doubleheader. Bills Jaguars comes first, and then Bengals Commanders. To close out, let's talk about some wrestling. Monday Night Raw from last week. Now the card was Sheamus against Pete Dunne, Natalya versus Zoe Stark, Damian Priest against Dominic Mysterio. You had Braun Strowman against Bronson Reed. You had the World Tag Team Championship, the New Day against the Judgment Day, and of course you had CM Punk come out. Punk cut a little promo. Obviously, you got him and Hell in a Cell versus Drew McIntyre. That was an incredible promo. I don't think I've ever seen him talk in that tone. That was just he really showed that he's fed up with Drew, and I thought that was absolutely perfect. Really good promo, and by the way, that match will main event Bad Blood, Hell in a Cell, McIntyre against Punk. It's going to be phenomenal. Sheamus against Pete Dunne. Pete Dunne picks up the win. I like the rivalry a lot. I like that Pete Dunne's getting a little mini push. Obviously, he had a feud with Trick Williams in NXT. Of course, they had a last man standing match, to determine who's going to fight E15 for the NXT Championship. And now he's been beefing with Sheamus for a while. He's a really good wrestler, Pete Dunne. He's very good in the ring. He's been good wherever he's been. Have to give him a little push. Sheamus, guys, he's been beaten battered for years, but he's still kicking. In Natalya against Zoe Stark, Natalya won. Natalya's back. That whole feud with Sonya Deville and all. I'm not interested. I call them No Pop Collective because Sonya Zoe and Shayna Baszler, they literally get no pop anywhere. They're in their freaking home city and they didn't even get any pop. That's terrible. Yeah, Jey Uso and Rob Reger promo. That was a really good promo. You saw Jey Uso, called out as an NFL career. That was a really good promo. So Jey Uso kind of proved in that promo that he's not just all about fun and game and saying yeet all the time. They're going to have a match, I think, tonight, actually, which will be very exciting. World Tag Team title, the Judgment Day against the New Day, obviously. Also, they've had to kind of rethink with the New Day storyline, because obviously Jones got fired for some out-of-the-ring issues, obviously. So you put him in a tag match against the Judgment Day. Obviously, backstage, you had a little thing, was Kofi told Priest and them, hey, don't get involved tonight. And then, obviously had some interference from the LWO, because, of course, they've had their issue with the Judgment Day for what seems like 3 or 4 years at this point. And then afterwards, Woods and Kofi were going at it, saying, oh, they cost us the match. Kofi said, no, I told them to help us out if possible. So maybe, we thought after Jones got fired, like, oh, damn, I guess we're not going to break those two up. Maybe New Day will still break up. So that storyline remains at least somewhat interesting for now. Yeah, Braun Strowman against Bronson Reed. Bronson Reed won. That was a really good match. That was very, very exciting. Bronson Reed literally threw a fan at Braun Strowman. He threw another human being at him. That was honestly very, very funny, but very good match. And that Sami Zayn promo at the end was absolutely incredible. So he continues to try in the end match with Gunther. Of course, he was attacked by Gunther and Ludwig Kaiser to convince Ludwig Kaiser that, Gunther was kind of using him. So we'll see where they go with that. And then, Bianca Belair fight Io Sky in the match. Io Sky picks up the win. And then we get Damian Priest against Dominic Mysterio. Priest obviously picks up when that one is that Judgment Day storyline continues to absolutely cook. You got Priest against Balor at Bad Blood. Should be a great match. Overall, it was a really good Raw as per usual. That's all I'm going to have for you guys today. There's a good chance I'll have some guests on tomorrow, but no promises, and you got to watch to find out who it is. And like I said, intro previews coming up soon. I'll announce that probably at some point this week when that is. And just keep your eyes peeled for that. But until next time, so long. Have a great day.